Welcome viewers to Pro Theologist channel. Every generation inherits political decisions. Some are debated loudly, others arrive quietly, wrapped in promises, explained through necessity, and accepted as progress. Most citizens never witness the strategy. They only experience its consequences. Tonight's story does not accuse, it does not investigate, does not reveal hidden history. Instead, it asks the audience to enter the political mindset, a world where long-term electoral thinking becomes more important than short-term campaigning. A world where every policy carries both an immediate purpose and an unseen future consequence. Where governments no longer ask, how do we win the next election? But instead quietly wonder, how do we shape the electorate that will decide elections now, in the near and long-term future? Perhaps no one planned it. Perhaps everyone simply followed incentives, or perhaps the greatest political campaign was never designed to persuade existing voters at all, but to patiently cultivate tomorrow's electorate. This is not history, this is not prediction, it's at work within politics now. And we're going to explore how democratic strategy might evolve when politicians begin thinking not only about winning votes, but about how electorates themselves slowly change over generations. This is the political harlotry of Australia.
The multicultural capital of Australia and the sporting capital. Yes, we are the home of the MCG and the Boxing Day Test. But much more importantly than that, we are home to more Indian Australians than anywhere else in the country.
Viewers, this seems to me to be political grovelling at a level never seen before on Australian soil. I want you to listen to the numbers just roll off Jacinta Allen's tongue. Numbers means votes, and that, believe it or not, despite what appears to be genuine celebration of it all, is what matters more than anything else.
Melbourne has hosted some big visits. This one is next level. Nearly 30,000 people filling a stadium. This is a statement about the strength and energy of India.
And viewers, that means the strength and energy of India in Australia. Now, you can take that how you like.
Prime Minister, when I became Premier, I determined that my first overseas trip would be to India. And I went on that trip in 2000 with me. 2,000 jobs in partnership. A new deal for Indian international students.
Viewers, who do you think Jacinta Allen's sticking her tongue out there at? Who do you think she's sticking her tongue out at there? Wouldn't be you and I, would it? This is political grovelling and vote collecting at its highest level.
Minister Modi, I do invite you to take this message back home with you to India. Victoria respects India. We value your people. We welcome your students, your businesses, your families, your ideas. In Victoria, the Indian community is not just accepted, they are part of who we are.
Well, viewers, I don't know if you've got any say in that. It is the way it is now. The politicians are not going to back down on vote collecting whether it has anything to do with the duty and care and welfare of the country, or not. What you're seeing is professional vote harvesting. This is deeper than you think.
Your children never have to choose between being proudly Indian and proudly Victorian, because in this state you can be both.
So there's no necessity then to be an allegiance to Australia. You can be completely Indian and live in Victoria without any conscience whatsoever.
And here in Victoria, you can be whoever you want to be, yet stay who you are.
That's a very interesting statement by Jacinta Allen, because it throws out whether you speak English or not, whether you want to integrate or not. You just be Indian and do whatever you like in Australia. It has no consequence whatsoever. So what you're seeing now is the moral bankruptcy of political vote harvesting. I have to say, viewers, I'm pretty well rattled by the depth of grovelling, the desperation, oh my goodness. Every democracy claims that elections decide power. But what if elections merely confirm decisions that have been unfolding quietly for years? Governments come and go, policies change, leaders rise and fall, yet one force continues to reshape the political landscape with remarkable permanence: the electorate itself. And these politicians know this. And this presentation shows you the uncomfortable possibility that over time, the greatest political prize is not winning votes, but influencing the future population from which those votes will eventually emerge. It asks whether the pursuit of parliamentary majorities can gradually shift political attention away from persuading citizens and towards managing the long-term arithmetic of democracy. And in such an Australia, the most consequential campaigns are not fought during election seasons. They unfold across decades, hidden within policies that appear routine, justified and entirely ordinary. And whether that evolution represents prudent national building or the quiet pursuit of enduring political advantage, this is the question at the heart of this story.
And I also welcome each and every one of you out there in the stands. The energy that we feel in here tonight defines the Australia-India partnership. It is an enthusiasm and a dynamism that drives the positivity and promise of our two nations and peoples.
Viewers, beneath the public language of prosperity, compassion and national renewal, a hidden political doctrine quietly is emerging. Its architects no longer viewed elections as contests to persuade the existing electorate. We're forgotten about. Instead, they believed lasting parliamentary power could be secured by patiently reshaping the electorate itself. Every migration target, every citizenship projection, every demographic forecast became another move in a decades-long political game. A covert operation, a game, a strategy. The operation was never acknowledged publicly. It existed only in widespread conversations, confidential strategy papers, and the silent arithmetic of political ambition. And whether it was visionary statecraft or democratic corruption became the question that haunted an entire generation. Is this a masterminded immigration vote harvesting definiteness being carried out right in front of our very eyes? And I have to say, I think it is.
On this stage, all these years later, it is such a privilege to have the chance to extend our own Australian hospitality to Prime Minister Modi. We all come together to celebrate the bond that unites our two peoples, two great democracies, two great multicultural societies, the mutual respect that we share, the strength of our friendship, and the profound contribution to our great nation of the more than 1 million Australians who trace their roots proudly back to India. I say it publicly as well. It is the Australian Indian community who are the first to volunteer their help and to lend a hand to their fellow community members. It's a generosity that extends to building the prosperity of our nation too, whether through boosting skills in critical industries like healthcare and IT, growing Australia's dynamic small business sector, or the contribution that so many students from India make when they choose Australia as their destination to invest in themselves and their education. And that is especially true here in the education state of Victoria. Australians of all backgrounds have been enriched by bringing your culture here and adding it to our multicultural character. We're a better nation because we have you in it. You are the living bridge between Australia and India.
Stars. But in Melbourne last night, that rock star was Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In scenes resembling Coachella, around 40,000 members of the Indian community packed out Marvel Stadium to catch a glimpse of him. And look, these pictures are astonishing. The stands are packed. The pomp and ceremony was something to behold. The dancing there, the drums, and front and centre was Anthony Albanese.
To welcome the Prime Minister of India, Honourable Shri Narendra Modi ji.
Oh, the smiles, the smiles. And look, Anthony Albanese was all over Narendra Modi like a rash, fawning over him more than he apparently fawns over Kylie Minogue. So it's no wonder the Indian PM gave his comrades a welcome the Albo way.
I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, and I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging.
Whoever said assimilation wasn't alive and well? Now, is it just me, or is something a bit odd about the Indian Prime Minister welcoming us to our own country in a country he is visiting? It doesn't quite compute with me. But the co-host of this event was none other than Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen, who gave us a hint as to why there was such a spectacle.
It is my honour to welcome you to Melbourne and to Victoria. We are the education state, the multicultural capital of Australia. But much more importantly than that, we are home to more Indian Australians than anywhere else in the country.
Aha! And there's that word, multiculturalism. Now, Australia is home to almost 1 million Indian-born residents, making it the largest overseas-born population group in the country. So perhaps it might explain why Victorian taxpayers will foot a substantial share of the Modi Mania Marvel event. Diversity is our strength, of course, especially when there is a Victorian election coming up and the state is home to Australia's largest Indian-born population at around 260,000 residents. Now, I will preface by saying this is by no means an attack on the Indian community. But I do worry when I see scenes like we did at Marvel Stadium. We encourage migrants to celebrate where they came from and to not forget that. Yet we put on these big events for one leader and his Australian community, keyword Australian, and we wonder why we cannot come together as one culture. Have you also noticed the Prime Minister seems more relaxed and comfortable celebrating other cultures than our own? When he goes overseas, he's welcomed with that country's traditions, as he was this week in the Solomon Islands. He was given a welcome lei to wear, for example. Yet when India's Prime Minister visits us, he's given a stadium event and Indian traditions courtesy of the taxpayer. Now, would you ever see such a reception for Donald Trump if he was to visit Australia? Would Albo dare to hold Trump's hand or hug him like this on stage, put on a massive event with colour, the drums, and then bill the taxpayer for it? Of course not. The left would have a meltdown over the prospect of Trump being given such a reception on the taxpayer dime. It would write itself, can you imagine? Now, in my view, what we saw last night was a very clever way for Labor to win over the Indian vote, a great way to boost its position in the community. Remember the backlash Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price got when she dared to suggest that large numbers of Indian people were being allowed to migrate here because the Indian community votes for Labor? The left tore her to bits. Even her own colleagues failed to stand up for her. Yet it was a claim backed in by research. Director of Redbridge Group and pollster Kos Samaras said at the time, 85% of the Indian diaspora voted for the Labor Party at the last election. The Indian community is indeed a strong voting bloc. So it's little wonder Anthony Albanese and Jacinta Allen were just desperate to impress and roll out the red carpet and the stadium for Narendra Modi.
Viewers, in closing on this presentation, history rarely judges nations by the promises their leaders made. It judges the societies they left behind. Every democracy must constantly ask itself whether public policy is being shaped first by the long-term good of the nation or by the short-term pursuit of political advantage. Whatever the answer, transparency, accountability and an informed electorate remain the strongest safeguards against the quiet erosion of public trust, an erosion that's fueled by the moral bankruptcy of the politicians. Democracies survive not because difficult questions are avoided, but because citizens remain willing to ask them. So as Proverbs 11:14 of the great Book of Proverbs says, where there is no counsel, the people fall, but in the multitude of wise counselors there is safety. Nations flourish when wisdom is valued above expediency, truth above convenience, and stewardship above ambition. And whatever policies a government pursues, the enduring measure of leadership is whether it strengthens the nation, preserves public trust, and leaves future generations with greater freedom, greater stability, and greater confidence in their institutions. The final verdict of history belongs not to the campaign slogans, but to the lasting consequences of leadership, and no other nation is seeing this more than the middle to lower class people living in Australia.